backend we are using the Spring Boot REST API microservice architecture, because there are around 5 to 6 services that we are using. So yeah, that's it.
So, just like how many design patterns you have used so far till now, Amol?
Yeah, so till now we have used singleton, factory, MVC, iterated design pattern.
Okay, so what are the things are required for implementing singleton design pattern?
Okay, so singleton design pattern, for you have to declare first one class, and the you can declare the constructor as a private. After that you can declare one method, which is a synchronized method, and you can create the instance, and you can return that instance from that method.
Suppose constructor is private, so how we can create the object in that case? You mentioned that, right? For singleton design pattern, you are making constructor as private.
Yes.
So how we can create object in that case? Because constructor is private, so nobody can from outside access it, right?
Yeah. uh, you can declare one method, and means only it one object it can return. You can the method should return. When you are declaring singleton design pattern, you will get only the one instance of that object.
Yeah, yeah. But on that one instance, how can we create a model? My question is that thing, because you are making constructor as private, right? So nobody can outside in the world
Okay, okay.
can access that constructor. Are you getting my
Yeah,
question
yeah,
now,
I
right?
got you. So sorry, private constructor should not be there. So you have to declare the object instance. Suppose my class is singleton. You can mention the reference, and then you can check that reference is equal to null. Then return that instance from the method. You don't need to
So
declare the private constructor.
then in that case, the outside world can create as many as possible instance, right? If you are not making constructor private, because the constructor is accessible from outside world, right? So the single instance enforcement will not apply.
Yeah, correct.
Do you know about that thing?
Mm,
Okay,
okay.
so can you tell me that have you used multi-threading
Yeah,
in the past,
yeah, yeah. I have used.
and in which scenario you have used practical scenario, if you can tell me?
Yeah, so in our use case, we wanted to when customer are filling the form, then uh, suppose customer enters the birth date and his policy number, then after the next he click on the next button, we wanted to populate the all the data of that customer. So we are asynchronously call the REST API methods. So, and in that scenario we have used the executor framework, and invoke some APIs of uh, the consumer of the bank, and populate all the result to that customer. So we have used the
So
executor framework.
it is a sequential call, right? Because one screen is dependent, the input output of one screen is dependent on our input of second screen, right? So do you think that this is a proper scenario for multi-threading? Because as you mentioned that it is one customer is filling the details in the second page, you need to fill more detail, right? Which is dependent on page number one detail.
So there are the two. There is not single API. There are the 2 3 APIs we wanted to execute or we want that all the APIs running parallelly and want the all the results in our form, next form.
So how you club the result? Because you need to know that when the object is that asynchronous method has been finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to keep track of those things as well.
Yeah.
What I understood here is that you are making 3 API
Yeah.
call parallelly,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So you need to club all these 3 API result in one place, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you need to know that when that API is finished, because it is asynchronous call.
Yes.
So how you come to know that asynchronous call is finished?
We have used the future object and future object and callback interface. So we'll means we have taken the all the result from the future object and populate into our code.
Okay, so do you know which future object method signifies that execution is completed? Okay. Yes. Can you tell me that in set interface,
Okay.
just like set interface, just like it stores unique element, right?
Yeah.
So we can store the custom objects as well, just like a student object.
Correct.
So how set will determine that this object is unique and this is duplicate?
So for that, in the custom object, we need to override the hash code and equals methods. So because internally set uses the hash map. So when we are adding some custom object, we need to make sure that hash code and equals method we need to override in that classes.
Okay. Do you know the internal working of linked hash map?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me how linked hash map work?
So link hash map uses the like nodes. So when the it maintains the insertion order and it extends the hash map. So when you storing the any element, so it will the previous node stores the object of the next node in the linked hash map.
Okay, in Java 8 they have used Stream
Yes,
API,
yeah.
right? Have you worked on those APIs?
Yes,
Amol?
I have.
So what is streaming? Means
Streaming means,
can you define?
yeah, streaming means sequence of data. If you there are lots of data are there, so if you want to manipulate the data, then you can use the stream API. So there is the parallel streaming or sequential streamings are there, and also stream provides some methods, so you can easily manipulate data through that method.
Okay, so just like, do you know that suppose we are creating a jar file or var file
Yeah.
as a build process output, right? So have you worked on a certain kind of CI/CD jobs as well?
Yes, we have worked, but like we have used the Jenkins for CI/CD. So we have configured our Git URL in the Jenkins, and we have returned the 3 jobs. So when we have built the codes, and the post build the code will the war will generated, and it get deployed into the server.
So which language you have used for creating the jobs in Jenkins?
Jenkins.
You need to scripting jobs,
yeah.
right? You need to
Shells.
Yeah. So which language you have created? You have used for creating the scripting jobs? Have you written certain kind of seed jobs and those kind of thing, Amol?
Which job you are talking about?
Seed the job.
No,
Mm,
no, I am.
okay. Okay. So do you know that what is the difference between release version and snapshot version?
Yeah, snapshot means the current version of the code, and the release means the code actually uh, get means there are the multiple versions that we are going to deploy on the server. So we are maintaining the release of the code. So that is the release version.
Have you worked on TDD?
No, I haven't worked.
JUnit
Yeah,
test cases have you
yes,
written?
I have written.
So Mockito, did you use Mockito for?
Yes, for mocking.
So do you know what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the mocking the calls, we have to use the Mockito. So Mockito provides the that mock annotations, so you can easily mock any call.
So do you know the difference between @mock annotation and @inject mock annotation? Have you used somewhere @mock and @inject mock?
No, I haven't used the at that inject mock I haven't used, but at that mock I have used.
So where did you use mock?
So basically we need to mock our calls. So we are using the like we are consuming some REST APIs. So we need to mock that calls. So on that method I have used that at the rate mock annotation.
So Mockito supports the static method mocking as well.
Static method.
Have you come across the scenario where your code involves a static method call as well? You need to write the JUnit test cases.
No, actually.
Okay. So Amol, have you worked on Spring?
Yes.
So Spring, do you know what are the scopes of bean in Spring?
Yeah, there is a singleton prototype request session and global session.
So which scope is thread safe? Do you know thread safety?
I know that. So prototype is not thread safe.
Yeah, but which is thread safe among these things?
Thread safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So prototype is a thread safe. Singleton is not a thread safe in the Spring.
So prototype is thread safe, you meant to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you come across the scenario where you need to just like configure transactions in your method?
Yes.
So which transaction you have used?
So mostly we have used the transaction at direct transactional annotation. So on the service layer you have to mention on the top of the method the transactional annotations, and you have to if you are we mostly use the transaction propagation required and required.
Okay. So what is what are the difference between propagation requires and requires new? Do you know the difference between these transaction attributes?
Yeah. So suppose the method is running and the T1 transaction is executed for the method, then another method is invoking, then there is no need to create the new transaction. So it will use the existing one in the required, and the required new means it will create the new transaction for that new method.
Do you know that how we achieve the threads safety in REST API? Suppose our REST API is interacting with Okta.
Okay.
Right. Because in your project, which tool you have used for safety?
We have used the uh, OAuth2 for
What to, right? So do you know the difference between access token and refresh token?
access token.
Have you
Yeah.
used?
So basically, from your project, you have sending the client ID, secret ID, and the access token, and your resource server that validate that tokens, access tokens. So after the sometimes like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, uh, the token gets invalid. So the you have to refresh that token through your application.
So how to refresh token means because token is invalidated, right? So if token is invalidated,
Mhm.
then in that case we don't have any kind of mechanism, right, to connect to once again. Because token is the thing which provides the contact between these two systems.
Yeah. Uh,
You know the difference between the refresh token and access token? Both are different types of token.
no, actually, I think you need to mention in the properties file that you are going to means mention in the properties file like you are going to send another tokens after the some time.
In which scenario that 400 response code is being written by REST API?
Yeah. So when you are sending the bad request through your application, then like sending the bad parameters like body. Or the,
So, do you know that guidelines to develop REST API? What are the convention we generally follow to develop REST API?
convention means like guidelines like we have to maintain the security first and like suppose there are the few http methods, so based on the methods, so you want to get any data, then you can use the http get methods, and if you want to submit the data, then you can use the post method, and if you want to delete the data, then you can use the http delete method. If you want to update data, then you can use the put method.
Can I use a verb in REST API? Just like get employee salary.
Yeah, you can use that. So Jaxb you can use the Jaxb for that, Jaxb annotations. And
No, but REST API naming just like HTTP localhost 8080 employee get employee salary and get employee age, right? Get employee list. Such kind of API I can develop.
like there is the when you are means you are saying that the naming convention, right? So if you are, yeah,
Correct.
so if there is a request mapping, no, you have to maintain the like if you are fetching the user data, then you have to it should be the like users or the user details, so you have to follow the naming convention.
So those kind of naming convention are there, right? We cannot use verb and we can use noun. Such kind of things are there. Did you use in the past?
Yeah, actually, we have the our own documents, so REST API documents. So we have means mm, like when the request uh, so on the basis of the APIs, you have to mention that which which need to, like if there is a user API or there is a system you are returning, so it should notify that the API should be notified that we are returning the systems.
Okay, can you tell me the scenario where left outer join is used from database?
Yeah. So uh, when you are fetching any data from the database, then left outer join like it returns all the record from the left table, whether if there is a no matching from the right tables, so it will return all the record from the left table.
Okay, Amol. So I am done from my side. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you, Amol, for your time.